What's going on, guys? Chase with iDub Hockey, hanging out with JD, who is the category manager of skates for Bauer and Mission Hockey. JD, we've got your really exciting Mission Inhaler WM01 line in front of us today. Now, before we start talking about the exciting new tech and spec throughout all three price points, how would you differentiate your inhaler line from the Bauer vapor roller line? And then what kind of fit profile kind of varies between the two as well?
Yeah, it's a great question, Chase. But, we're very fortunate to be able to offer a very diverse line for all roller hockey players between our Bauer collection as well as the Mission collection. So when we look at kind of the vapor lineup of skates, a lot of the kind of initiatives or innovations that we are making on our player skates on the ice side, we generally bring those over into our roller hockey lineup, and that allows some of those players who may be doing some crossovers between the roller hockey and ice family is to find a product that kind of works for him on both sides, both elements of the game. So we really kind of draft a lot of our heritage and our experience into that family. But what's very unique about the inhaler and the Mission line itself is all the insights and all the feedback that we get from the roller hockey kind of community. We have the ability to apply certain technology or certain features that are really specific to that sport. So we want to make sure that we have a good breadth of product solutions for players across the globe, and that really kind of 1-2 punch allows us to make sure that we have whatever the player needs, we have it covered off in between our two brands of skates that we offer.
For sure. And as all the ice hockey players would know about the Bauer Vapor line, typically before we got into the 3-family fit system, that's a more of a low profile, narrow 4-foot built skate. And how would you compare the Mission Inhaler line compared to that low profile fit?
Yeah, so if you look at what we call the volume of the boot, so the volume is typically in your ankle wrap, your heel depth, as well as your instep height. Those are the key areas to think about when it comes to fit. And you'll notice with the Mission line that it's got more of what we call a traditional cut boot. So it's much more kind of conventional from the top eyelet to the bottom eyelet. So that creates a little bit more kind of what we call a mid to high volume boot, which is really good for comfort out of the box and really allows for arguably the widest range of players to be able to get into a properly fitted skate. So it's a much more kind of a volumist style fit versus our vapor line, which is much more kind of tapered or aggressive on that side of things. So again, leveraging our two brands, if fit's a very important thing for you from a player, we've got a couple different options for you to look at as well. And I think that's, part of the benefits of both the Bauer and Mission family kind of moving forward.
Definitely. And what you touched on too is that out of the box comfort. And, that's why I've always gravitated towards the inhaler line for my roller hockey playing. And a lot of that has to do with the internal foam package that I do want to touch on in a little bit. But I think, there's always been a big following on the inhaler line. So let's talk about the key upgrades first, and then we can kind of talk about, some of the more minor changes on the inside too.
Yeah, for sure. First and foremost, again, kind of drafting off and how Mission has the benefit of being tied into Bauer. So we've had a foot scanner out in the market for roughly around 4 years now, and we've been able to collect just over 1.1 million scans. So we have this huge database of feet that we can do a lot of things with and analyze. So one of the things that we notice, especially with more of the elite level players and very competitive players out in the market, has a little bit more volume to it. In the toe cap region here, what we found is going with what we call an asymmetrical toe cap, so a little bit more volume in the big toe area and then taper down, actually accentuates the fit a little bit. So it makes the skate be a little bit more connected to your foot, so that when you're pushing off, you're getting a greater amount of energy return or energy transfer in each and every stride, so that you can kind of maximize your performance as best as possible. So, really drafting off some of the things and some of the data points, we've been able to apply that asymmetry into that toe cap. But with that is some of the feedback and some of the learnings from the roller hockey team or the roller hockey players across the globe is, typically these players go to a lot of tournaments and play multiple games a day throughout an entire week. So, when you're doing that, you personally get pretty warm as a player, but also your equipment kind of has a lot of moisture that builds up. So maintaining that toe cap with ventilation and a unique port. So if you look at the way that we design these ports, it's about allowing for as much inhaling as much air as when you're going through playing the game. So it helps keep your core as cool as possible, but also after the game when you have an hour or 2 hours in between games, it also allows the skate to dry out quickly and manage that moisture as best as possible. So we didn't want to lose that with this new toe cap, and we've actually been able to enhance it even further. But that's further complemented with some of the ports or the exhaust ports that we've put into not only the quarter but also into the tongue as well. So we've been able to really expand on the kind of the airflow of the skate, again, to keep your foot as cool as possible while playing, but also to allow for the maximum airflow so that it dries out and allows you to be at your very best every game, no matter what situation that you're in.
Yeah, no one wants to put on a wet set of skates. It's never fun.
Exactly.
But it is cool to see how, we do have that asymmetrical toe cap and how you guys have made some minor adjustments to where the vents are to help further that, especially with your true vented tongue as well. Another, upgrade that we see this year is on the inside. And like I was mentioning earlier, those Pour-On XRD pads are just insanely comfortable, but incredibly protective as well too. But, how about you fill us in on a couple of the key upgrades and the materials that we find in the liner here?
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously, the Pour-On XRD is a big component to our skate, and it really maximizes that comfort, the comfort as well as the kind of the protection value of the skate. So that we need to make sure that we hit on that for definitely for for this particular skate, because again, it's about being built for that pro player. But even the materials that we use on the inside, all the liner materials, it's all very high tech, and it's all about kind of that moisture management. So, again, knowing that the players, the roller hockey player arguably plays a little bit more frequently on the weekends and stuff like that, we try to put the highest tech materials into each and every component so that we're managing that moisture without losing comfort, though. Again, when you first try on that skate or when you first use it, it's got to be super comfortable out of the box. So it's a nice combination of both comfort and moisture management.
Definitely. Another upgrade or change I saw this year was in the more flexible tendon guard. I've always loved, the Supreme tendon guard, how much mobility it has. So can you maybe just give us a little bit of insight on why you went away from a more traditionally stiff tendon and went into more of a flexible?
Yep. So again, a lot of it happens or is to, have a little bit more separation versus our Vapor family. So our Vapor family is built with a stiff tendon guard, and our Mission family of product has a little bit more flexible. So, one thing that we want to, kind of emphasize is, when we're thinking about the skate and maximizing the power output in each and every stride, that flexible, more flexible tendon guard in the back is going to allow you to get the full range of motion in each and every skating stride. So when you're able to maximize that range of motion, you're going to be able to extend your stride longer and ultimately get a little bit more top end speed. So, we've drafted off some of the insights that we have on the player side, but it's all about kind of now taking that to the roller hockey player.
Very cool. And then last but not least, connected to the full composite outsole, we've got your highest end chassis as well as wheels and bearings. So can you walk me through what we find down here as well?
Yeah. So you obviously hit up on the composite outsole, which is nice and light, stiff and rigid. So again, energy transfer, keeping the weight down. And then we use our high-low kryptonium chassis as well. So again, tying back to that outsole, it's all about making sure that we keep the skate as lightweight as possible, but maximize the energy transfer. So it's got a very little torque capabilities in it. And again, it's all to maximize the power output. Again, on the wheels and bearing side of things, we're very fortunate to have a relationship with Lebeda, who's, arguably the best wheel in the game. And, for us being able to use the Addiction wheel, which is again one of the more preferred wheels on this particular model, allows to get great grip in each and every stride. Again, just kind of maximizing that performance element without kind of compromising the durability as well. So that relationship has been key. On the bearings, we use a Swiss bearing all the way throughout. Again, the best bearing from a resistance standpoint and a top end speed. So every little piece and every little detail from the wheels all the way through the tongue is all about kind of what is going to maximize the roller hockey player, especially that pro inspired or kind of that elite level player, to perform at his very best on the court. So every little detail here is being thought of to make sure that we're delivering on that performance that we're committed to.
Yeah, you could tell you guys did not. You pulled out all the stops and fully loaded this thing, but there are still a ton of competitive hockey players on the market looking for the latest mission skate, and this WM01 might be out of their budget a little bit, but that WM02 is just fully loaded against with some high-end features. So what can you tell me about what makes this skate such a great choice for that competitive hockey player?
Absolutely. So again, we wanted to keep that ethos of design and engineer for the roller hockey player across the entire collection of mission skates. So that's the first and foremost. So the fit and some of the features of the skate, such as the ventilation, both in the toe cap, into the quarter, into the tongue as well, that's being maintained down because that competitive level player who might be on a budget still requires this to perform his very best. So we really wanted to make sure that not only on the top end, but as we went all the way down throughout the line, that this really met the need of the player. The biggest difference, though, is what you'd feel in the quarter package. So the WM01 uses a curved composite boot, which is essentially all the professional players that we have within our portfolio. That's the model, or that's the material that they use, because it gives you the most amount of support in the lightest weight package. So we're using more of a tech mesh quarter on this particular price point. So if you feel the stiffness of the boot, you can see it's not as stiff and rigid. So it's still a very supportive a material, but it's a little bit less on the stiffness side, so that it makes it a little bit easier for you to kind of flex and perform the skating stride a little bit easier. I would say that is probably the biggest difference between the two is kind of the materials that we use, but it's also used so that that competitive player who's still developing his game can actually perform the skating motion and the skate easier than maybe some of the composite materials that we use.
Yeah, it's really designed to fit that level of player. Whereas, maybe if they tried to use a curved composite boot, they might not be getting every ounce of power that they could be getting if they were in, say, a tech mesh. But I've got to say, too, it is really cool to see that ventilated asymmetrical toe cap in the 02. And I think we see it also in the 03 as well, right?
Yeah, that is correct. So again, you look at the 03 skate, you're going to see the consistency of the airflow and the vents put into the boot and into the toe cap being drafted all the way down throughout the price point, because again, this entire collection was designed for every single roller hockey player that's out there.
For sure. And how would you maybe describe the level of player that WM03 is a good fit for?
So it's a performance level skate. So again, if you look at the materials that we use, it uses a fiber composite skate, which again, it's got a good level of support, a little bit easier to flex than than the 02. But you know, the biggest thing here is it's a competitive level player. So say you're now progressing your game to kind of a little bit more tournament play and starting to get a little bit more competitive. Mm-hmm. This is probably the perfect skate for you to start off in that competition style play with. Again, it's more of how we engineer the flex and making it easier for you. And as you develop into a bigger, stronger, better player, you know, that's when you start looking into kind of more the mid-tier to upper-tier price points as your career kind of continues to grow.
Perfect. Well, JD, as always, thank you so much for taking the time and sitting with us and walking us through this WM line.
No problem, and great to see you as always, Chase.
You as well, JD. But for you guys at home that want to check out more of these Mission Inhaler WM01 2 and 3 skates, make sure you go to inline or icewarehouse.com.